conference will now be recorded.
Park and Rec Board meeting for Tuesday, May 17th, 2022. Roll call, please.
Mark Castonia.
Here.
Deb Lundberg.
Here.
Edine Hess.
Here.
Chris Zerbel.
Here.
Donovan Miller.
Here.
Tracy Flukie. Here. Heidi Murphy.
Here.
All right. If you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
Republic, which stands.
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
For all.
All right, I'll take action on the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Comments from the public must be limited to items not on the agenda, must state name and address, limited to 5 minutes. Board's role is to listen and not discuss the item. Personal issues cannot be discussed, nor individuals named, and board is not able to take action at this meeting. Any comments from the public? Anybody on the interweb? Hearing nothing. We'll move on to we have any written communications?
No.
No written communications. Action on the consent agenda.
Make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a,
Is this for minutes? I'm sorry.
pardon me?
Is this for the minutes?
For the meeting for March 15th.
Okay, then I just have one correction, I believe. The people in attendance, Brian Murphy is listed and Dirk Rivens, were they actually at that meeting? Or was that from Bike Ped, maybe?
Brian wasn't here, I can tell you that.
Brian was or was not?
Was not.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that would have been from Bike and Ped Committee because Dirk is on the committee now
Yeah, that's
along
what I
with
was
Brian.
thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
see it. Sorry. I'll fix that. Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second with the corrections. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Action items. Action on request for utility node replacement by TDS in the parks. Rex.
Okay, so as you may have heard, TDS is moving into northeast Wisconsin with their service. And they're contracting with, or working with multiple communities in terms of running fiber optic and cable basically throughout the whole community.
Excuse me, Rex.
Yep.
Can you sign in? Yeah.
Thank you, all of them.
Thank you.
So they're running fiber optic throughout the whole community. As such, there's some special boxes, and I know we've got a representative from TDS here. Sean is here this evening, joining us online. He'll explain a little bit more, but the boxes are a little bit bigger than normal, so not really appropriate to be putting in residential yards per se. And for a project such as this, I don't want to call it, and Sean, please excuse me, but it's a necessary evil. No one wants them, but they're required if we're going to have this service throughout the village. And they're going to be in competition with Time Warner and obviously other different agencies. So we've been working with TDS on some placements in 3 different parks. So there were 3 different parks that were identified as probably spots that they would need to go. Hidden Valley Park, Smith Park, and Lois Avenger Park. And so what we've done, what they did initially is they staked some areas out and said, here's where we suggest putting it. We've gone back and said, no, we don't want to put it here. We want to put it over here for various reasons. And what you have in front of you tonight are the 3 identified spots within the parks for those node placements. The nodes are, like I said, a larger size box. They're not as big, I don't think, as the fishing shacks, which we have over at Lois Avenger, but they're still larger than the average one that you might see on a residential corner, on a residential piece of property. I'm going to take them one by one, I guess, and I'll just go with Hidden Valley first. We put that one, we've got some other smaller boxes there. We kind of set them back from those individual boxes so that they're all kind of in a same corridor going back through the woods. We put them on Wood's Edge, and we probably will do some type of, or would work with TDS on doing some type of landscaping for the Hidden Valley Park one, because that one would be easily landscaped. The second one at Smith, we have, I guess, what's called a fishing shack, for lack of a better term, sized building there already that I believe is a telephone building. And we thought, the village felt that the best spot for that particular node would be on the back side of that, because you can't see it from the street. And that's really what we're trying to do, is we're trying to minimize any interruption in the aesthetics of looking into the park and seeing all these boxes everywhere. So you will see a corridor. That corridor is just an easement that they're looking for. The box itself would be behind the current small telephone building that is there right now. So really, it wouldn't be noticeable per se from the street. The third site is Avenger Park, and I know some of the park board members probably cringed when they saw that, just because we've dealt with requests to put things in Avenger Park before. We've been able to move some of those previously requested items off of the park and onto residential property, and where it worked out privately between the business and property owners. But again, this is a bigger box, so it probably, as much as I hate to say it, would be better to do within a park facility without taking away something from the neighborhood. As you know, there's a number of nodes and boxes already around the water tower. In fact, it's filled with them. We want to try and keep all of them together. And so what we are requesting is placement of the node within a small group of cedar trees. We feel it's still going to be, I don't want to say hidden, but it would be less innocuous per se. It won't stand out as much if we can put it back against the water tower as much as possible. I think the maps all kind of show that, except for the Ridge Road one, where we are looking for that. It's more the black lines versus the red lines. If you see, this is on page 15 of your packet. Again, we're trying to keep it hidden within the bushes and current trees that we have as much as possible, and then possibly even plant in front of it to try and minimize that as well. I will say that administration and TDS, we're in the process of working out remuneration in terms of what they would be able to give the village for taking that easement and for placement of the box within the park. So it's not like we'd just be allowing that to happen without getting anything in return. Those discussions, which the park board, I don't believe we've ever been involved with those before. Probably don't want to do it at this point, but that's currently happening based on like money exchanging hands for those easements from other facilities. So that being said, what we're looking for tonight is just discussion, and then your thoughts before these node placements in the parks move on to the village board level. What your concerns are. Obviously, I guess I know what some of your concerns are, but Sean is actually here as well, like I said, online, and he can help answer more specific questions now that I've kind of set the table for him.
The photo for Avenger Park.
Mark, if you can just, I don't know if it's coming through, kind of. There you go. There you go. Perfect.
The photo for Avenger Park shows the easement moving from the street in, and then it shows it widening to the east. But if you look where the stakes are actually in the park, it widens to the west.
Yeah, the stakes are not where I don't think the village would be excited about putting anything, because there's specifically that area there is the only open space in the park. And we want to keep an open space because that's where the families that live in that neighborhood go to play. You know, if they want to toss the ball around or a frisbee or anything like, you know, with their kids. So we do not want another one in that open area. That's why we are working with TDS on pushing it closer to the water tower within the treat areas. So the stakes are not correct on the, where we would accept it, at least where I would recommend accepting it or not accepting it within the park.
What are the surfaces going to be on the easement? Is it going to be lawn, grass, or is it going to be a pathway of some way, blacktop, concrete?
I will let Sean answer it, but from my understanding, it would just be, it's just an easement. It wouldn't be a pathway, it would just be grass. It would be returned to the original state, you know, with the buried wires beneath it. And with an easement, because of the wires and cables beneath the ground, you wouldn't be able to build anything, you know, in the future over that particular easement, just because of the wires being underneath there. Sean, if you could touch base on that for me.
Yeah, so hello, my name's Sean Murray. I'm a manager for TDS when it comes to permitting and easement work for these communities. So what Rex was saying, the strip easement is just the large cables that have to get to the cabinet. You could put a shed or something over the top of it, but those cables will be buried at approximately 3 feet under the ground. So, but we always say, you know, if you wanted to, you know, put something over the top of that strip easement, you can, as long as you're not digging in that 3 foot area where the cables are going to be.
Okay, but there will be no pathway or anything that...
There will be no driveway. Once the cable is in and the cabinet is set, we will restore the green space back to its original state.
So it's maintained by the village park department then
It would just be mowed as like there's nothing there. You would never know there's an easement there unless you looked on a GIS type map.
You mentioned, Rex, you mentioned the aesthetics from the street when we were talking about Smith Park. What about the aesthetics from inside the park? And all these parks are in residential neighborhoods. What about the aesthetics from the neighbors there also? I know Smith Park has, the two closest homes have 6 foot high solid fences, but it's still visible to them.
It would be, and that's why it's a no-win situation. No one wants them, but we need to have them. You know, discussions have taken place with Sean regarding not only the remuneration, but potential landscaping. There's a couple things here. There's landscaping that could be done around anything, but again, TDS doesn't take care of the landscaping. If we did landscaping, it would need to be the park crews that take care of the landscaping, and we're trying to minimize the landscaping. So the other option that we have to do, the other option is to wrap the boxes in like a, you know, there's a lot of advertising companies around that almost have like a vinyl wrap around the boxes that make them look better, more colorful, or you could get them so that they could be painted, you know, with a mural from, I don't know, someone like from the high school art class or something like that, so that it looks a little more palatable rather than just having a metal box out in the middle of nowhere. We haven't gotten to that point yet, right? What we're doing right now is just trying to figure out, are these the best spots for them, you know, within the park area. But Mark, I agree with you. We're going to try and make them look as good as possible. But those are the three options. Either, you know, we could do nothing. If depends on where the location is. We could landscape, which is appropriate, I think, in 1, maybe 2 spots, or 3, all 3. Or we could have it wrapped with like a vinyl mural around it, or we could have someone come in and paint it so that it almost looks like artwork.
Bricks are nice.
What's that?
Bricks are nice.
I can tell you that in Eau Claire and Green Bay, they want the cabinets wrapped. And I'm working in a lot of parks in those two communities, and what they're doing is they are wrapping it in a design that's unique to that park and to the people that live around that park. So I haven't seen what those wraps are going to be yet, but I am helping pay for those wraps, and it's just kind of an interesting idea to make the cabinet a little more colorful based on the uniqueness of the park.
So the village will be responsible for the upkeep of the grounds around the building then too?
Correct. That would not change. It's just that there would be a building there now, or this, what's called a node.
Because that picture that on page 8 doesn't say much for the tidiness of the area with the grass growing up all around the slabs and so forth.
Yeah, I don't know, that's probably not the best picture to have in there, but that's the one that we were provided with, so that's the one that
That
went in there.
That was a picture of one that was just set. So we had to put some straw down and some seed and topsoil to get the grass to grow back around the cabinet and the handhole in front of there.
There you go.
So if the boxes are painted or wrapped, well, does TDS maintain that in 10 years if the paint starts to wear off? Are they going to repaint that, or is that a function of the park?
If it's painted, it probably you would have to repaint it, whatever you guys want to do it. Those wraps are pretty sturdy, so I don't think that they would deteriorate.
But who does that? Who pays for that?
I would pay for the wrap.
First one.
Yeah, whatever wrap design you guys want to do around those three cabinets, I would be paying for those.
The first one, but not future?
No, not future, no. If you decide to do a different mural.
You know, the location of the buildings, no matter where we put them, like Mark said, if it's behind the building, the people behind are going to see it, it's facing the park. If it's in front of the building, then people driving by will see it. So like Rex said, no matter where we put it, it's not going to be ideal. I think a mural type thing on it, where the being wrapped would be really nice. Public art is becoming more and more popular, and they're huge. I mean, these buildings are big, and to have something that, you know, attracts you and is kind of cute, or something the kids would like in the park, or like the gentleman said, Sean said, it's something that kind of reflects the park and the, you know, the nature of that park, would be an asset, I think, to doing that. As far as landscaping, I agree with Rex. I think Hidden Valley definitely needs some landscaping around that, because that one will stand out, I think, the most.
Big time.
Because there's such a natural area there, and I know there's other boxes there, so
right in
it'll
the
tuck
back.
against it, but it's still big.
That one scares me too.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's, like you said, it's a necessary evil. We'll get some funds for it, and hopefully those funds can be put back into the park and be used for things in the park. And just make them look as good as we can, and have a good contract with TDS. If we have problems, they come back and take care of it, too.
Just out of curiosity, why do utilities like this seem to favor park or areas as opposed to privately owned places? I'm sure that there are some churches around with adequate parking lots that would have a space, and we would more than welcome the income from it. But it always seems to end up being in a park.
So I initially like working with the villages that we're going into at first, to try to find locations, because I want to be transparent with the community on what is about to happen. So when we first initially picked locations, I was working with Doug Martin, and Doug was mentioning, well, we have some of these other locations at these other parks that could possibly work. I was trying to set these in right-of-way spaces, but we couldn't find enough right-of-way. And then we were looking at some other locations that, you know, could work, and Doug had mentioned these 3 parks that could possibly work. So then we reached out and got the surveys done and sent all the documentation to you, or to Rex and to Joel, to move the process forward.
But you didn't actually look at privately held properties?
Not because I didn't, because when these 3 locations came about, they all looked good to me. And so I didn't pursue any other locations, because Doug had mentioned that he thought that these 3 locations would work.
I agree with you, Mark, 100%. I was thinking even business settings, these look like they belong in more of a business area than a residential park area. You know, we keep jamming our parks with cell towers and this and that, and I guess I agree I understand they're a necessary evil. I remember when I was on the park board in the past, and Sherwood Forest, the cell tower that went up there, I was against that. I get they need to be done, but if we haven't looked at all our other options, I think the park should be the last option in this case, and we haven't looked at all the options yet. I mean, these things, like that picture on page 8, you know, that you brought up, Mark, and I understand it's what you had last minute, but that shouldn't even, that picture, you did yourself no favors putting that picture in this pamphlet.
These boxes are 5 feet, roughly 5'3" tall. Then is that the maximum height, or?
Yeah, it sits on about a 6-inch concrete slab, and then the cabinet is about 5.5 feet tall.
5.5 feet. The only reason the Hidden Valley Park, there's a tree like right there, and I'm just like, oh no, they gotta whack that tree just for this. But now seeing that the box itself is fairly small, so hopefully just a little pruning around that tree and it doesn't have to go. It's a nice tree. But I would agree with Chris as well with, like, I think of by the water tower there, right across the street is a True Value. They got probably ample space to plug one of those. Hidden Valley, that's really gonna stick out there. It's Smith Park, you could hide it behind the building and blend it in really nice. I think that's a good spot, and there's really nowhere else in that area if that's about where it has to be. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts.
Do the other communication companies have nodes of different sizes or at all in our parks? Or is this the first one that?
You all know what Lois Avenger has. They have multiple buildings / nodes in there, which are several of which are bigger than this, where they're actually small buildings.
I guess what I'm getting at.
They've got small. AT&T has smaller, much smaller ones that are a little bit more innocuous. Nothing this large though.
Okay. Is there going to be another company, or there's existing companies coming down the road needing another box like this? And now we're adding, you know, we're jamming more in our parks because now this one's there. Well, we might as well jam another one in.
I don't know the answer to that, Chris. I could say that, you know, open market, if another company wanted to do the same thing 5 years from now, you know, I think by state law, they're able to do it, you know, because as long as things are in the right of way, and then it's up to the company to work out where the boxes go.
And to add to that, Chris, in my prior experience too, some of these companies that already exist and have facilities in your parks may be looking to expand their current facilities, in particular at Avenger Park with the water tower and the cell features that are on top of that tower. Oftentimes as they expand, different networks, they might need additional buildings or nodes or things of that nature to support the infrastructure on top of the tower. So even if it's not a new company, if there's an expansion of service or a change in service or technology, oftentimes that will produce that change or that need. So you're certainly going to be somewhat committing to that possibility in the future, especially as you give easement to that they have the ability to place those increased size of structures more or less in perpetuity within that easement. So you are giving something up in the future potentially by providing those easements.
All right, okay, thank you. I don't know, but like I said before, being on the park board in the past, and my feeling is being on the board, we're trying to protect our parks and do what's best for the parks. And without having extinguished all other possible options, I can't see, I can't get behind this personally, unless all other options are, exhausted. I don't know.
Could they even put a facility like this in private property? Would it meet the zoning code? Would it be allowed?
I would have to verify that directly with Aaron. I suspect my initial inclination is yes, they could, because I think there are exceptions within our zoning code, regardless of district, that allow for public utility installations. But I would need to verify that to be 100% accurate.
Thoughts?
I would make a motion that we allow TDS to place boxes in the sites that were listed, but require landscaping at Hidden Valley Park that they would pay for. I don't know if there's a way we can make them take care of it for a certain amount of years, that they're responsible for the first 5 years or whatever the case may be, that the boxes all are wrapped at the discretion of the village. They can decide, Rex and whoever can decide what they want on there. And there is a contract in there, some remuneration for them to have the easements.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I would second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No.
Nay.
Do we have everybody? Dean, were you?
I was a no.
You were no? Okay,
Who else? Yourself?
myself.
I hope Martin.
Mark,
2-4?
what did we have? We had 2 in favor,
Yep.
the rest opposed.
Okay.
Okay, so the motion is denied. So we can move on from, we can recommend to the board that we do not recommend this, correct? Is that what they just want, we recommend or don't recommend, correct, the village board?
I think you could, Chris, I think you could also ask TDS to explore other private sites,
I think that,
and then come back to the park board with potential sites that were explored and what the status of those sites might be. I mean, I think that's another option that could be done.
Possibly private business sites, things like that.
Yeah, like I said, there's only one that I can picture it blending in. The other sites, it's just gonna be another thing there, So there's only one spot, so that would be what I would be in favor of.
And I will add to Donovan's point is you can certainly take up individual sites if you'd like, as far as a motion goes, to recommend to the board. If there are specific sites that you are definitively, as a board, as a group, not committed to, you can certainly take individual motions for that and request that TDS review those sites further and find maybe alternate locations whether it be on public or private property. You can certainly take those as individual action items if you'd like, if that would be easier. Or if you seem to have consensus at the dais, certainly take a singular motion with those things, but you can certainly discuss those items prior to taking a formal vote on it tonight.
Okay. Well, again, my thought is, I mean, to me, go to the private business areas. That's where these things, I mean, fit in aesthetically. First, that's my opinion on it.
So Chris, you want to make that into an official motion, maybe?
Okay, I'll make the motion that TDS goes back on these node placements to possibly look at placing them in private areas, whether it's residential or particularly business areas, and bring that back to the board in the future.
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Sean, do you understand the motion there?
Well, if I'm going to be getting private easements, do I need to come back to the board if I'm using a private property owner? Why would I need to come back to the board to do anything?
If you found private property to put it on, you would not need to come back to the park board.
Well, which is probably what we're going to do. I just want to so this slows our build down dramatically, because I thought we were going to get approved based on the people that I had talked to. So the customers and the property owners that would want our service in Ashwaubenon are going to be greatly affected by these. So I am disappointed, but I understand what you guys are asking here. So we will go back to the drawing board. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see here. Action item B, action on AYB plan for Diamond 4 renovations.
All right, so back in at our last meeting in March, we had Coach Krieger and I think AYB President Kyle over here and talking about some potential things that we'd like to do at Diamond number 4. That has changed somewhat, so I will invite anyone who is going to be the spokesperson this evening back up here to sit with me and talk about what the new plan is and how we might go about that.
Welcome back. I'm glad to be back in front of you guys again. So just to kind of level set everybody as to what we're trying to accomplish and everything that I presented in March, the overall goal really hasn't changed, okay? But what has changed is the scope of the project. So let me see how I'm gonna, there we go. Is there any way I can get rid of all of this? You got it. I'm not familiar with this one. That's the one I was looking for. Here we go. Okay, so what we initially were looking for is to raise funds to do improvements down at the Ashwame baseball complex. The goal of this then is to enhance the youth experience through having the top of class facilities, improve the ongoing maintenance of the facilities, make improvements with minimal village funding. So those goals are still intact in what we're trying to do. What we did then after our last meeting in March is I got together this group, which a number of the individuals are here on this subcommittee, and we started to discuss the funding. Because obviously we are not looking for village funding here, we are looking for village support, but we are going to go out to the community to find the funding. As we sat down with this subcommittee, we started to look at the long-term and the short-term goals of what we wanted to do at Ashwaubenon. Short-term, we wanted to kind of clean up some of the, we wanted to fix Diamond 4, there's some dugout renovations, things like that. But long-term, when we started to discuss, if you look at any facility and to make those permanent improvements, you're really looking at turfing the field and going forward there. So then we started that discussion. And what it came down to is the goal was then to attract those sponsors, and we changed our approach then, that instead of looking for a minimal amount of $175,000, just fixing Diamond 4, putting in a new field, but leaving it dirt, grass as it was, to actually put in a turf field. And I'll dig into a little more details there. So what we did is we kind of changed the scope then to be about $600,000 over a 5-year period. We still would have ongoing sponsorship through renewals, replacement sponsors, and one of the goals is, again, to maintain or improve the aesthetics of Ashwaubenon. We want to not turn it into a bunch of billboards out there. It's not what our intent is. So the project that we're looking at, if we look at these phases now, looking at it that we are going to now turf Diamond 4, that's why you see crossed out. So that's initially what we had up there, was that we were going to just rebuild Diamond 4. Now we're going to turf Diamond 4. The initial prices that we have received have been approximately $350,000. That would be, the goal of that would be to get that completed by next summer. We have we are hosting the Legion State Tournament next summer. It would be fantastic to have this done for that. That particular event will bring in thousands of people into Ashwaubenon just for that one particular event. Phase 2, then we would move on to the next phases with dugout renovations, which is approximately $100,000. And the phase 1 that we are looking at is taking care of this Diamond 4, and we would turf just the infield. We would not turf the entire field. I do not believe it is necessary to turf the entire field. And I also believe that it helps the aesthetics of the park to leave the outfield grass. And I also don't feel that the cost is worth it. You will find this at St. Norbert's. They have done this with their fields, both softball and baseball. We also have within our FRCC conference in Sheboygan, they have done the same thing, where they have turfed the infield and not the outfield, which works just great. We do have future phases where we could actually, what's depicted on this particular drawing is you could end up turfing the other 3 diamonds, but to be very honest, I've actually had a number of people from those teams saying, no, we kind of like it that it's dirt and that. It's kind of nice that it's dirt and the kids are learning to play on dirt and that. So those would be future phases that would be coming. So again, like I said, you could do the other 3 diamonds. We also have additional things that, as funds become available, some of these are actually in progress. AYB is using their funds to do that, and we would continue to do that as well. The sponsorship levels, this is where the basic changes have changed. So these were our old targets, which I presented in March. Really, our new targets is we would additionally want the ability to do complex naming. So we would name the complex. We had diamond naming the last time. We would additionally add in 3 field logos on diamond 4. I'll show you some pictures of those. That's very similar if you're familiar with the football field behind home plate. And then last time we had talked about the dugout sponsorships, the naming rights and the smaller diamonds, clubhouse namings, and the batting cages. So those were all things that we had discussed the last time. This is what we had reviewed the last time, and kind of like we were looking for aesthetically. So this, nothing really has changed here. This is what we'd be talking about as far as a complex naming. Currently, as you enter the park, there is an actual entryway that's there. That I know in the very beginning when this park was built, there was discussions about putting in this type of a sign. Now, I just grabbed the sign off the internet and threw it up there just as an example to see what could be done there. So that's what we'd be talking about, complex naming. And then the field logos, these are particular logos off of the football field. You can see where we would be looking to add those to the actual infield grass there, the new turf. So really there's been two particular changes. One is a complex naming, the other is the logos. Everything else is what we had discussed in March. Now, the goal of our committee is not to have 10 sponsors. The goal of our committee is actually to have 1 sponsor. So we are not going to be presenting this as an a la carte type of a sponsorship out to the different sponsors that we approach. We are going to try to get larger sponsors. Therefore, we do not have all of the different sponsorships, different sponsorships all over the park. Again, that's not our goal. That's not what we want. So we are looking for particular sponsors. Now, we have not even really gone out and started our drive yet, but I can share that we do have already a 6-figure sponsor who is interested in donating to this project. I cannot share a name, and they would be looking to return those funds in a 3 to 4 year period. I had a meeting earlier today with Rex and Joel and Mary, and we started discussions around the financing and how do we cover the financing and the recovering of that. And we brought in the school district, since they went through that with the football field and how that would all take place. At this time, we are not that far along, but I'm just sharing with you what we're looking at from a sponsorship and what our goals are for the actual project. So going on, I mean, we are continuing to look at potential sponsors. We are also going to be meeting with an engineering firm to start to firm up the plans and get the phases of the project actually laid out. With our goal, again, to have the first phase, that Diamond 4, completed by next summer. That's very, very aggressive. We know that's aggressive. But we also have been halfway told by the engineering firm today, yeah, okay, maybe that can be done. So we'll see. So with that, I will answer any questions.
Jay, so we got, I get your fundraising goals and everything here, but what about, what's behind this, driving this? Is it cost savings?
It'll be cost savings from the village standpoint. I look at it as a upgrade to the facilities to improve players and that really wanting to be involved. I mean, little kids out there, if you go out there tonight, and I know been involved, I mean, it's a great family venue. And the more you can improve that facility, the more people we can get out there. The usability of this field, now that it's turfed, is going to be much more usable than what it has even been in the past. So I look at it as an improvement to the overall facilities, the park, and also the program. To have more players, more younger players wanting to get involved, being excited about baseball, and trying to keep baseball an exciting thing here in Ashwaubenon. In other communities, it is going the opposite direction. But we are very, very lucky through a lot of hard work from the AYB board and past boards and that of what has been done to keep so many kids involved. 300, 400 kids are still involved. That's where we were 20 years ago. That's fantastic. We just need to keep doing the investing to keep improving the facilities, because if you look at the other, our competition out there, which are traveling teams, things like that, guess what? Turf fields, all that, they play on that all the time. That's just the way it is. So we need to keep up with the Joneses, basically.
Yeah. Is, just out of curiosity, is the dirt part of the infield, is that going to be turf too?
That'll be turf too.
Okay.
The only part of that whole infield that you see that is not going to be turf would be the mound. Right. I still would like to have a clay mound. There are other types of mounds. Coach Fonder and myself, and we've seen that down in the Sheboygan area. So there are other ways of doing it. I still think having a clay mound is still the right direction to go.
Yeah. Okay.
I have two questions. One, you're looking at the cost of that infield being $350,000,
Correct.
and you're confident that possibly you would have a sponsor to fulfill that $350,000 for the time frame that you're looking at?
We don't have all of them secured yet, but at this time we have a six-figure sponsor who is extremely interested in the project. That's kind of all I can share right now. I apologize for that.
That's okay. And secondly, I just want to make it clear, you're talking about artificial turf.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
So if anybody wants to see a good example of what the field would look like, you just need to go up to Scrays Hill and the Malzova family sports complex up there. It'd be essentially the same thing, where it's the turf infield and the grass outfield. And it's very nice aesthetically. It flows, it doesn't stand out, doesn't look like it's grass, right? It looks grassy. And the lines are there, so there's no monkeying with the lines ever again. Bases are you're able to move the bases easily for different, well, for field 4 it'd be the same, but up there they have 4 different settings, I believe. You could pick the mound up and move the mound. This would be clay, it'd be a little different, but it'd be the same concept. So if you wanted to see a real life example, just take a drive up to Scrays Hill. One of the things that this mound, and especially for that regional tournament, is I think of one tournament we had last year where, now this, if it was the same amount of rain, it'd be rained out, but if you get a small amount of rain, sometimes if you get rain all week and then a little bit of rain, sometimes these fields become unplayable. And to lose an entire tournament weekend for AYB, that's a huge hit to our fundraising, because we don't have the concessions going. We have to refund teams if we don't play. So having the regionals here, that would be a very big downer if we couldn't have it, with all those teams coming in from out of town, staying in our hotels, eating at our restaurants and stuff. But as Coach Krieger said, to me, it's an investment in not only the park, not only Ashwaubenon, but the community too, because we're almost guaranteeing to some degree that we can have those tournaments here. So,
What is the average lifespan of that artificial turf?
Yeah, we asked that question today about the football field, and they're saying 10 to 15 years. But the football field's already been in that long, and they don't anticipate that they're going to have to replace it yet for probably another 10 years because it has been holding up so well. So part of it is the type of turf. You want to get a good product and everything, and one of the things that you do when you set this up, the turf part itself is not the most expensive part of the build-out. The build-out of the underlying structures and that, drainage and curbing, things like that, that's where a lot of the cost of it goes into. The actual turf itself is not. So you then start to recover and to put funds in, and that'd be part of our fundraising goal too, is to kind of have a pot there, which the school district already has. What they did is to have a pot of money there that you're already ready to, planning for a replacement in 10, 15 years or whatever.
Okay, thank you.
Jay, will we need to purchase any different type of equipment to maintain that field?
That's a great question, and Rex actually asked that today of the school district, and they said no. Any equipment that we would need, the school district immediately said, we have that, which is like a rake that you put behind, and they only use it like twice a year, that they put behind a tractor, and they said, you can just use ours.
Then the other question I have, is there any level of play that would not be allowed to play on this field, that their league wouldn't allow it, or anything like that, with different age levels that they would not be able to compete on it? Okay.
Absolutely not. Yep.
Would it be able to be set up so other age levels can play on it, or what age levels could play on it based on how you propose to set it up right now?
The age levels that would, the way I would propose to set up right now would be 14 through adult. Because it is not a portable mound, that would be there for the younger grades. And that would not, so it wouldn't be appropriate for the younger ages. But 14 through adults, which would cover all of our high school teams, would cover our Legion teams, would cover the lookouts. So there, we would have.
Lookouts are an adult baseball team.
Okay.
Right.
What about injuries on artificial turf? I know there's some concerns on it.
Actually,
age groups even that it's more prevalent, or?
Actually, from a baseball perspective, you find less injuries because it is a turf that is more true. So you don't have the bad hops that end up where people get hit and things like that. Also, the sliding is much easier. You don't get cleats caught, things like that. So for the most part, I can't reference any studies, Tracy, but for the most part, it's a safer environment as well.
I just remember years ago, there were studies that said it wasn't as safe, and I don't know if they've made it different or better.
Perspective, yeah, from the football perspective, because then you're landing on this turf and
stopping.
Yeah, right.
So I think as we progress on this, if it continues to progress, I think there's going to be some questions on sponsorship and what's allowable and what's not, because the village does have a sponsorship naming policy for village facilities. And in a nutshell, it says a facility can be named for someone or after something or a particular business were it not be for that donation that is being given, the facility would not be able to be built. So in a nutshell, that's kind of how it's put together. So I want to try and break this down a little bit just so all the park board members are on the same page. So I know you said you've talked with a potential donor. Is it a deal breaker if the whole complex is named after them, or are you looking to name the complex in their name if they become like the premier donor, or is it just the field? Or is it just for a certain amount of time that their name is lent to the facility? How do you plan on working that out?
And that's why we would like to be able to come back to you. We would like to be given this flexibility and find out what our donor, you're talking a big chunk of money that they're going to donate.
Right.
Okay, what is it that they would like to do? You know, we will say, hey, we're going to put your name on the field. And they go, yeah, well, okay. All right, what about if we name the complex after you? They go, yeah, that would be really something that we would really like. We as a committee would like to have that flexibility so that we can at least have those discussions with our sponsors. We will not 100% commit to them because we will be saying we got to go back and get that approved. But if that is something that they are interested in, we want to be able to kind of lay that out to them and then come back to you and say, you know what, this particular sponsor, whether it be a hospital group or a credit union or a bank or whatever, this is how they would like to be recognized. And then get your approval at that time.
I just have concerns about the whole complex being named after a donor specifically for Field 4. Because if we look at our policy, it doesn't meet the criteria for that because, like Rex said, I mean, it's not, the complex is there already. And granted, they're making a great investment in that one field and making it so much better, and I get that. So that's kind of just my concern on them getting the name for the whole complex when they have improved the one field out there.
But if I can get the 600,000, then we can have that discussion. And that's all we're really looking for is just the ability to have that discussion because I absolutely 100% agree with what you're saying. We just want to be able to have that kind of conversation when we're meeting with these larger donors. And like I said, we aren't looking to go out and talk to 100 donors. We're looking at a very, very small group of donors within the village of Ashwaubenon. That's really what we're looking at. And we believe that we can do that through these groups. There are also other foundations and that out there that we will be looking at for funding, which could maybe support some of the other things. And of course, they're foundations, then you don't have to worry about sponsorships and that. So we are definitely going to be going down that path as well.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
What is the transition between the artificial turf and the grass? Is that hard to maintain that and keep that so you don't have any issues? I'm just thinking as it runs into it.
Right. It is not. We've played on it, and it's pretty much seamless, where the grass is kind of like right bumped up to it, kind of similar to your driveway. It's kind of like that, but it's the turf that's bumped up to it. So it's pretty seamless.
Okay. So what are you looking for from us then? Do you need an approval, or is this just information?
Again, I would like to be able to have an approval to say that at this point, the park board feels that the direction that we are going in is appropriate, with the caveat that we will return to you with any specific sponsorships that we find as we move forward with the project.
Okay.
Jay, I want to jump in here real quick. In general, I'm supportive of the idea. I think an artificial turf field would be a plus for the community. Another one, I mean, we've got the Booyah Stadium already, or the Booyah Stadium, oh my gosh, the Rocker Stadium. And I think Ashwame would be good. I would start out my own personal thought here in terms of donors, though. We had multiple $100,000 donors, multiple $100,000 plus donors for the pool, community center, performing arts center. And we didn't name, they were all willing to donate those large dollars without having the facility named after them. So I would just ask if it's voted upon by the board that the fundraising drive is okay to try to go out there and see what you can do, that you start at that level and maybe just go with the field first, or versus the whole complex, because you may be able to get something without having to
Agreed.
name the whole complex after a particular
Agreed.
owner.
Yeah, we're not going to be presenting the complex naming right out of the gate. No, it's the opposite. First, they have to be interested in the project. Once they're interested in the project, then that's kind of the discussion comes, all right, how would you like to be recognized? So, right, no, I'm in agreement.
Yeah, and I trust you guys are gonna do that. You guys have always done a good job presenting things and following through with what you said you needed and wanted and have accomplished your goals, and I can get behind this, yes.
Okay.
Are there any health concerns with contact with the artificial turf, as there has been in other artificial turf installations and usage?
Yeah, no, there has not been any health concerns that that we are aware of at this point. The high school's been using it for a number of years already and have had no health-related type of issues with it. Now, because there is the rubber pebbles, do some of the rubber pebbles sometimes, get in somebody's eyes? Yes, but that's no different than getting dirt in your eyes type of thing. So that's pretty much been the extent of it that I'm aware of.
All right. Do we need a motion to move this forward to allow you guys to? Is that what we're doing here? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to move forward with the proposal and have them come back with what they found out with regards to a sponsor.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good job. Thanks, Jay. All right. Item C, Park, Rec, and Forestry Department reports. Rex.
Well, we're coming into the summer season. Obviously, we've gotten a lot of irons in the fire in terms of projects as well as the programs. First one coming up is we'll see what the weather holds on Thursday night for our food truck rally, but that would be the first of 5 this year. We're almost ready to submit the Ashwaubenon Bridge plan going from Alden Station into Ashwaubenon Park. We're just waiting to work with, for McMahon and Grafe Architects to work together and come up with the final grading plan for the bridge landing in the adjacent clubhouse on the Alden Station side. Once that's figured out, it's ready to be submitted. So I keep saying that every month, but really that is the last piece to the puzzle here. So we're thinking that's going to come together pretty quick. Paving and landscaping of the West Main Trail. Paving took place about a week and a half ago. There are some issues with how the water valves that are within the trail were leveled. We met with Peters Concrete as well as McMahon and Associates, the engineers of the project, out on site yesterday, and Peters is going to come up with a couple of solutions to re-level some of those things that were not taken care of out of the gate, which is a disappointment, but it may not be Peters' fault. There's other contractors involved. So finger pointing doesn't matter. We just want to try and get the thing taken care of. Staffing. Let's talk about staffing for a second. If you were not aware, the village board approved last month an increase in the aquatic wages based on the park board recommendation to them. So those are good. Mel's staff are staying in place. I think we've lost 1, maybe 2 people, but we're going to be open this summer at both the lake and the pool. So we're excited about that. And like I said, I know Mel, I believe, has 1 more lifeguard training class coming through the gates, and so things are going well there. They're still straggling in, but we're already sitting pretty decent, especially compared to some other communities. Our day camp staff is full. We will have a full day camp staff. We're excited about that. Our park maintenance staff, our summer park maintenance staff is good to go. We have been short 2 seasonal park maintenance workers. We have not been able to fill those positions. Interviewed 1 or 2, and they kind of ghosted us, type of a thing, dropped right off within a day or 2. Different reasons for that. So that may be why some of the grass is growing a little bit longer in the islands and at the community center. Is right now our guys are just trying to keep up with the daily maintenance tasks, and we're not able to take on any extra projects right now until the summer kids come in. The summer kids will start to come in next week. I think we've got 3 coming in next week, and the rest of them will be coming back the Tuesday after Memorial Day. So that will help out a lot. That'll free up the full-time guys to work on actual projects and fix-its and do some of the things that need to be done, which is excellent. Where we're concerned about, there's 2 areas. We still need a special children's program worker. We've got 1, we need another. I think we've got 8 or 9 kids in the special children's program right now. And where we are really concerned is at the parkie level. We typically have, this year we're hoping to have 9 parkies, and I think we've got 3, maybe 4. So we're not even halfway there on parkies. And this is the same issue the city of Green Bay had last year. They wanted to staff 35 parks, they were only able to staff 15. So we've got ads out, it's on our boards. We've had staff go to St. Norbert, UWGB, and put up advertisements there. Obviously, the advertisements are up at the high school. We've contacted high school coaches to try and talk with their teams. We've been knocking on all the doors that we have that are available to us to try and get the word out that we've got staff. I want to say the starting rate there is about 11, 19.
How old do they have to be?
We've actually lowered that age so that we could even try and hire some younger kids. I think right now.
Like my 9-year-old or?
What's that?
My 9-year-old? No.
Not quite there yet.
No. She knows the number to 911.
Maybe she could be a junior parkie if we could find a regular parkie.
She will not accept payment in smiles.
So we've lowered it officially to 17, but quite honestly, if a mature 16-year-old came along, we could certainly pair that mature 16-year-old with one of the older parkies, and put them at a 2-person park, if we thought they were able to handle some of the situations that arose. So again, there's still a couple of weeks, but that's where our areas of concern are in terms of staffing for this coming summer. Still working on it.
You said the parkie is just over $11 an hour?
I believe so, yes.
And then how about special children's aid? What's?
Special children's is probably, I think, just a little more than that. It might be 1 step above that in the mid-11s.
Okay, training.
So obviously, looking at the prices up and down Oneida Street, we'll be looking at the wages and proposing new wage scales discussions during the upcoming budget season. Try and at least get on an even playing field with some of the other businesses in Ashwaubenon. We've got Art Street. I don't know if we talked about that. That should be an interesting event, and we are also working heads over heels right now on the Sesquicentennial, because that's a whole week's of events. There's just a lot of stuff going on, folks. So,
What is the date for the Art Street?
Art Street is going to be the last weekend in August, specifically, Dean. I believe that will be August 20, if it starts on a Thursday, Thursday the 25th through August 28th, which is a Sunday. I know what happens. I know what's going on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I think Thursday might be a lot of setup and prep work. And they're pretty much using the whole park. I know there's been some talk about where people are going to be parking. I know they've been in contact with the Brown County Fairgrounds, and they're renting all the open areas at the Brown County Fairground for additional parking. We'll be shuttling people over in buses from the fairground for those that aren't able or choose not to walk.
And that's the organizers of Art Street taking care of all that?
What's that?
The busing and
It would be too much for our plate right now with what we currently have for staffing levels. So Art Street is run by an organization called Mosaic Arts. We are assuming that they're the ones that are doing dotting all the i's and crossing all the t's.
Cool.
That's a safe assumption. I know them.
What's that?
I know them. That's a safe assumption.
I'm sure they want it to go well.
Good. Because we didn't have an April Park Board meeting, just a couple of things that have happened. We had the Easter egg hunt on April 16th, turned out really well, had hundreds of kids there. The 2022 rummage sale, village-wide rummage sale, was April 29th, 30th. We had, I think, our largest turnout ever. We had like 154 homes that advertised, and
My appliances got sold. That was lovely.
not all homes advertise. Like if they know their neighbor has an ad, sometimes they don't. So there's probably even more than that. So we didn't get any calls on it this year in terms of negativity. I know we try and put information within the maps that go out about staying off of people's lawns and go slow, be careful of people crossing the street, darting across the street, trying to get the best deals, that type of thing. It's crazy. It's crazy
They
out
need to
there.
not come early. I'm telling you, they're rifling through my garage at 1:45. My car was not moved yet.
Everyone's pretty much in the same boat in terms of busyness. Forestry division is no different. We are trying to finish up stumping. A lot of the stumps that the contractor is doing stumping, and then we're also doing stumping with a lot of the trees that we took down, and then trying to regrade, reseed, everything, for the growing season, so we can fill that in. And then we've also got, oh boy, I think we probably have at least 50, 60, if not more trees in the back that were just delivered as part of a couple of grants. I want to say First Down for Trees. I want to say the New Water grant to replace some of the emerald ash borer trees. I think we probably got this year probably, I want to say maybe 40 or 50 trees from them to plant, and some of those are spot specific, Argonne, Smith, and Ashwaubenon in terms of the New Water grant. So we've got our work cut out for us. A lot happening on the home front in terms of in the forestry division with that.
I just wanted to say, I think Ashwame looks really nice. Like, I know there were a lot of trees taken out of there.
There's a ton of trees taken out.
But the way it cleaned up, I thought, really nice looking, so.
Thanks, Heidi. I want to say, and you don't realize, we've probably taken well over 200 mature trees out of Ashwaubenon. That's how many are taken out. And it makes you sick to your stomach, quite honestly, because they're beautiful trees. But
I think it cleaned up nicely, though, like,
Good.
with the, like, obviously, it's negative that you have to take them out, but, like, it doesn't look bad.
Right.
we try and plant new ones quickly after we take them out, so it looks like there's still something there. Even though the tree's smaller, it doesn't look
Right.
barren.
Yeah, barren.
And I think that's kind of the key. If we didn't follow up quickly behind, people
It
would
looks
be
clean.
more noticeable.
If nature can be clean, it looks clean.
I think it was the timing of the project that they didn't root it all up and, cause extra trauma to the,
Right.
so.
A lot of the tree takedowns were done this winter, the
Yep.
remaining of them, and the rest of them were done.
Worked out.
Well, there's still more to be taken down, but it's turning out well. Thanks for the feedback, Heidi. I'm glad that people think
Rex,
it
I have a
looks
question on the forestry real quick.
Yeah.
For the contracts for this year for the emerald ash borer removals, did Tim have to rebid that, or did the contractors that did it before just go on to the next?
Did not have to rebid. So the way we bid it the first time was we had the option to continue on with the same pricing is the first contract, as long as both parties were mutually agreeable, which is what happened.
Oh, good.
I think Trios, there's a couple different behind-the-scene things that are happening when Trios is in the area. They're also being approached by a lot of private homeowners saying, hey, since you're here, I got one in my yard that's not in the right-of-way, so I think they're getting business that way. I also think, because with our marshalling yard and then, they bring in the tub grinder, they grind everything up. and then they're able to use the wood chips on other sites and take that, and which saves us money, because now we don't have to do that, but now that's extra funds that they have based off of the debris that is being created by the takedowns. So there's a couple different things at play here, and it's working out well, which is why I think they're able to hold their rates on their, from the original contract.
Good. I know we talked about this at a previous meeting, but what do the color dots mean on the trees? Like, do different colors mean different things?
Yeah, there's different colors. I want to say the orange ones are regular takedowns, and then
Okay.
there's, the pink ones are EAB takedowns.
Okay. My neighbors keep asking me, and I said, huh?
So I want to say the orange ones might be like on a maple tree where it needs to be removed because of like root girdling, like normal tree stuff. And the pink ones are specifically EABs,
Okay.
emerald ash borer.
What does blue mean?
Yeah, I was just say, what are blue?
Mine are blue.
EAB.
Blue is also EAB.
Well, because he started out with the pink, but people
Ran
were
out of-
seeing
ran out of
pink and
pink paint.
orange. So we changed it to the blue.
I
Girl
think,
tree
I
and
think
a
it's
boy
safe
tree?
to say that if you have a large colored dot on your tree, the tree might be removed.
Well, it ain't my
Whatever
tree.
color.
It's my neighbor's tree. Okay, guys?
Aquatics, as I said, it looks like we're doing pretty decent with staff. We had part of the concrete removed this year in front of the chalet. Concrete costs have gone up a little bit, so we weren't able to do the full slab in front. We did part of the slab in front of the chalet. I'm going to be hopefully trying to get the remainder of the funds next year's budget to do the rest of the slab in front of the chalet. Because if you took a look at it, not only did some of the lips not even, but there were a couple big pads that were cracked. And it's like, if we're going to do it, we need to do it and not have nice concrete and cracked concrete. So we'll figure out what the remaining is going to cost and see if we can put it through the budget process for '23. We just finished up the spring session for Learn to Swim that had 137 swim participants in it. Melody is also working on the Tales and the Trails book walk in Sherwood Forest. That'll be coming up. I know she's working at putting the signs together. She likes doing a few things other than just the pools. Keeps the job interesting, and she did a really good job with it last year. A lot of positive comments, so we're continuing that program again.
Is she gonna do it in Hidden Valley too, again? Didn't she do it last year?
We tried it at Hidden Valley, we tried it at Clipstein, and Sherwood Forest. I think we got the most people looking at it in Sherwood, just because of the natural setting. So I think that's where we're going to be starting out again this year. Adult softball is underway. Boy, how things have changed from 10, 15 years ago, even 5 or 6 years ago. We used to have softball leagues running out at the sports complex 4 nights a week, all 4 fields, all night long. And right now we have one night, Monday nights is one. Yeah, that is it. We have 13 teams. So it's totally different. It's like that. I think other communities are certainly down. Alloway's down to one night. I think they got rid of their slow pitch league. They've been doing that for 50 years, a long time. So people are finding other things to do. The good thing is we have rentals there almost every single night. You probably have all heard of ISA, Impact Sports Academy. They're doing a lot of rentals of our field, which is fine. That helps pay for the maintenance, we have a monthly utility bill from WPS, whether we use that field or not. Whether those lights go on, we're still paying $500 a month just for the utility costs out there to have the service available. So we need to get that revenue in. So ISA is taking advantage of our fields quite a bit. We have our typical church league on Sundays. I think there's 24 churches in our church league that are out there, and then of course oddball private permits that are using it as well. So still a lot of activity out there, but that activity has changed in nature somewhat. There's a lot of different things on there. I guess I'll just ask, does the park board have any questions on things that we are doing, things that are coming up?
When does Ashwaubenon open?
Ashwaubenon will open on Friday, June either 8th or 9th. 10th, Friday, June 10th, which is the day after school gets out.
Is the cricket field being used?
I saw them out there regularly last year. I have not seen, but I haven't gone out to the sports complex, more than probably 2 or 3 times yet this spring. So I would imagine it will be used again. I know that they have 2 fields in Green Bay. This one's used for a lot of the youth cricket leagues and the women's league, I believe. And quite honestly, we've got a fairly large population who like to play cricket, who live in Ashwaubenon, and there's still just a lot of pop-up games that I've seen out there last year as well. So, yeah, it's a very innocuous thing. You don't see it a lot because it's set behind that set of apartments, but it is well used. Other thoughts, comments? If everyone can do a no rain dance for me on Thursday night, it would be appreciated. We're flirting with disaster right now, so we're hoping if the rain holds off till 9, 10 o'clock, we'll be sitting pretty. Right now, we're potential showers starting, early evening, so we'll keep a closer eye on it.
My lawn would disagree with you.
I could say that your grounds crew for our Diamonds 1, 2, and 3, they've been doing a great job. Those fields are awesome the first couple
Appreciate
nights.
it. Yeah, it's all the full-time guys doing it too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they're doing right now with the lack of seasonals.
They worked it up really nice. It was perfect little powder. So first couple, I didn't get down there tonight, but I'm sure it's.
I will say that we did get that new John Deere field and bunker rake in the budget. And so the machine itself is fairly similar to what we had before. And the one we had before will now be the backup, and we'll be selling the old backup. But we've got, it's called a RAHN groomer, RAHN, and it's working beautifully. The guys
awesome.
love it.
It's really doing a trick.
Digs up the field in different types of ways. That's much more efficient, and with they weren't real sure how they like the big broom. It's like a big giant broom on the back.
Beautiful.
So they're flipping it down now, and that gives the field a whole different look.
I believe the other one, I don't know if it was pressure or what, but it wasn't working up the old stuff. It was just pushing around, was on top, in my opinion. Now it's worked up and looks nice. So.
The old one, the deep drag was actually underneath the machine.
Yeah.
And so you can only put that down so deep for each pass.
Right.
Otherwise it becomes too much pressure on the engine. With the RAHN groomer, the way I don't want to say the piston, but the way it's set, it can be set, it can really dig down into the ground.
It's really nice.
A lot better. And then they have a couple different levels of drags immediately following it, so you don't have to go over it like 20 times to get it to where you need to. It works out well. All right. Anything else?
I just wanted to thank you for getting the repair done on the Wobby Lane Trail. Someone came through, I think it was Doug had said it was a gas line or something, and they just ripped through the trail. And then they didn't repair it in a good manner, and the pipe was sticking up in the middle of the trail. It wasn't marked at all, and I had reached out to Rex, and he took care of it, and it's paved and back in good shape now, so I really appreciate that,
Sure.
because it was hazardous. Someone would have got hurt on there.
Sure. Well, I appreciate it, Tracy. I need to defer the credit back to Doug, because I just called Doug and talked to him about it. And he was already working with them, or I think Steve Burr was, regarding it was a gas main repair that they needed to do at that time. So they came back out and thank you for noticing it and letting us know. Yeah. They kind of re-signed it, and their crew, they were notified that the repairs would be appreciated at a expedient level, and it was.
And they did it, so thank Doug then. Thank him for taking care of that.
Okay, anything else? Anybody want to see anything, items for next agenda? You want to drag Rex in front of us more?
Rex, are you going to hold a public hearing for Ashwame Bridge, correct? Do you know when that's going to be, or if Park Board's going to host that, or Village Board, or what, where you're at with all of
Public
that?
hearing will need to happen after the project's sent to the DNR and we get the DNR's blessing on it. So once the DNR says we like this project, we don't have concerns with it, then we kind of do the public hearing on it, once we get to go ahead, because then the plan is the final plan if we are to proceed. So once the final plan is approved by the DNR, then you do the public hearing, because that's what it'll be like.
So will you come to Park Committee before the public hearing and let them know what's going on and what the final design is, or will it just be the public hearing and then we could hear it then, or?
I don't know, Tracy. That's a good question in terms of staging of things. I think, well, we're going to have the public hearing. We'll probably invite all of the park board members to the public hearing. I don't think that the public hearing won't be as part of the park board meeting. It'll be either on its own or at the village board level. But certainly we'll keep you apprised on the goings on of when those meetings will take place, once the dates are even set. In terms of the final bridge plans, as much as I can get them, once those are complete, we'll bring that information to you as well as a separate agenda item.
Thank you.
Oh, speaking of bridge, Michelle and I walked through Sherwood Forest for the first time in a little while with the new bridges that were, oh man, that's beautiful. It's beautiful back there.
Glad you like it.
Yeah. And a lot of people were walking. That was neat to see. It was a good project. People love walking through Sherwood Forest. It's a great facility to do so, and it turned out well. Yeah, it
turned out. Thanks for the feedback. You know what's going to be neat? We are trying. Sorry, I can always talk about stuff. We ordered quite a few perennial seeds that are supposed to be deer resistant, which we'll see.
Okay.
Is anything deer resistant? But we did plant them in a lot of different areas on each side of the trail, fairly well into the woods, just to kind of see. And Dan DeBush, one of our park maintenance guys, took that on as one of his projects for the planting. And so he kind of, in his minds, he knows what seeds were planted where. So we'll see what works well, within that wooded area, and then we'll try and continue on with those types of seeds and see what we can, if we can even do a little bit more as time progresses.
Okay. That's it. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Then I'll second.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion in a couple seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.
Thanks, everyone.